Online again, we have a question from Satoko Adachi of Yomiuri Shimbun, the Japanese daily. Satoko.
Yes, thank you very much for doing this. First of all, could you share your statement? That would be helpful. And then also, could you talk about a little bit more about the U.S. trade policy with ASEAN countries? You talk about the Laos and Myanmar actually faced initially a very high tariff rate, 48% and 46%. And it seems to me the ASEAN countries now face a difficult decision whether you are the camp of the United States or the camp of the China. So what does the Trump administration's trade policy mean to the ASEAN countries, and subsequently how the ASEAN countries' decision would impact in the Indo-Pacific region? Thank you.
Thanks so much. I can't speculate as to what the U.S. policy is in ASEAN. It's not clear. I'm not even sure if there is an ASEAN policy per se. I think the policy is one that is driven by what has been conveyed as a loss of jobs, a loss of investment due to mainly the Asian countries. So it's driven by the feel that they have lost investment, they've lost companies, they've lost competitiveness because of the Asian tigers, if you want to call it that. And I think the attempt is to try to pull back some of that perceived loss back to the United States. It is not clear that this is necessarily a strategy that will be successful. It does not seem to be the case, but I think, and I'm not sure if it's as black and white as between China and the U.S. I think ASEAN is a little more nuanced in terms of its internal trade mechanisms and how it will respond to these tariffs. What is clear is that the tariffs, for example, the 25% on South Korea and on Japan are pretty onerous compared to what it was before. And in fact, the 25% is higher than Japan had under the original announced tariff, which was 24%. It's negligible in terms of difference, but it sends a signal that, countries should be concerned about. I think the negotiations that ASEAN will have to look at is how do they protect their their markets, how do they find new markets for the products that are being made. Is it just the U.S. or can they diversify to other markets that have the same kind of demand for their products? A lot of it is also linked to the fact that a lot of the trade between ASEAN and the U.S. is based on U.S. companies investing in ASEAN. And so are you going to have those companies leave, or are they going to stay and find other markets in which to diversify? We're not clear on what these companies' decisions will be. But I think that will, once, hopefully August 1st, once they're clear on what the implications are, then I think companies will begin to decide. I mean, we looked at Apple, the fact that they moved all their iPhone production to India for the most part, because at the time the Chinese tariffs were incredibly high. We still haven't seen what the result will be on from India, what will be negotiated. So it's still, as I said, that's the problem. It's still very, very fluid. Nobody's clear on what will emerge. But I think for ASEAN, it will be an important discussion with respect to diversifying markets, diversifying investment flows, and looking at whether the companies that currently invest will remain or if they will divest outwards.